This is a special called board meeting for the Rockcastle County Board of Education. It's good to see everyone here, and we're glad that you came out on this very, very warm afternoon. Uh, This is a special meeting because we changed the date, therefore nothing can be made, no changes can be made to our agenda, just to let everyone know about that. The first thing I would like to do is call the meeting to order, and we will start off with a silent prayer. Item 1B is a roll call. Please let the minutes note that all board members are present. Item 1C is the reading of board team commitments. Would anyone like to read that tonight? Come on. Volunteer, please.
I'll volunteer.
All right, Lisa fell for it.
Board team commitments for Rockcastle County Schools. To improve our effectiveness, the board team for Rockcastle County Schools commits to review processes and experiences to identify and direct improvements, continuously define and work toward long-term goals which serve all students of the district, make each decision based on facts and the best for all students, listen to each other and speak freely, work together, support each other, and not surprise one another, discuss board deliberations to point of mutually agreeable resolution based on factual information, support the majority decision, projecting board unity toward shared goals for continuously improving district-wide student learning, operate without personal or political agendas, respect one another, agree to disagree respectfully, delegate implementation to superintendent and education team, and to respectfully remind each other of these commitments.
Thank you, Ms. Leeson. Item 2 is adopt the agenda. Need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Item 3A is the RCMS construction update. Codell Construction.
Good evening. Thank you all for your time and attention. Everything's continuing to move forward on the construction. We've got some pictures to go over here this evening, just to give everybody a little bit of visual representation of what's going on. Work's continuing on the field, and then also on the kitchen, cafeteria, library, school area. If you want to go ahead and start. So in the existing gym right now, that's a picture. All the bleachers, the old bleachers have come out, ready for the new ones to be installed. They will be completed this summer. Next slide, please. They're continuing to work on the mechanical room wall, the way that's completed, but they've got the new mechanical room wall up, getting ready for that work to start. Here's an aerial of the road, kind of back behind the school, between the bus garage-ish. So if you look at the deepest part of that is the subgrade of the road of what all that will be. So the rest of that will be taken down to that level. There's still a little bit of depth. That's where the road will sit, but there's still some depth to come down out of that road. That's another view of that, just to kind of get a perspective of all the cut that has taken place. I don't know if any of you all have had a chance to go back around there, but there's a lot coming. There's a lot coming out. Next slide. So back in the back corner, long jumps, all that. They're starting to put all that together, actually spreading topsoil out, getting kind of all that dressed up. The last thing to pour for that is the pole vault, which will be getting poured tomorrow. There's drainage back in the back. And then again, that's just, they're spreading topsoil back there. Again, and if you have an opportunity to go over there, you really only have to drive to kind of the top of the hill and you can smell it. They're spreading topsoil.
I bet.
There's an overview of the field. It is really starting to come together, and we've had some really decent weather for this. The ground is drying out enough to the point that it actually can absorb some water. So anytime, like we got a little bit of rain out there Sunday, it did not sit, it wasn't ponding, it went ahead and drained out. But they'll be finishing that up, and next week they're gonna be starting all the sub drainage for the turf and everything. They've already started that, but they'll be putting the rest of the rock face down and spreading the drainage out. There's goalposts going up. I know everybody's getting excited. Football season coming. And again, that's just, they're getting the curbs and everything for the turf, all of that subface is going on. Retaining walls are in. Really, as far as the field goes, biggest thing is getting the rest of the rock, the drainage laid out, and the turf's going in. All that will be coming here in the next month. There's the grandstand, and then the concession stand roof is going on. Painters are going to be coming Monday to start doing the block fill and getting all that painted. And then there's an overview of the school. Slabs have gotten poured over at the kitchen cafeteria area. And then that wing coming down, classrooms. If you want to go on to the next slide, kind of. So down towards the bottom of that picture, that's going to be the courtyard. If you see that kind of ramped up wall, that is part of the ramp that will be there for the kids to come in. And the other side of that ramp, just to the left of the slab, that's a set of stairs that'll walk up. So both of those will take them on up through that area. Next slide, please. And then there's the slab pours. Those got completed this week. They all turned out really well on the slabs. And if anybody's wondering, that area left out, the depressed area closest towards the bottom of the screen, that's all part of the cooler. So this elevation shot is the library media center, and then there's that kind of bigger room towards the bottom. That's going to be a computer lab, and then some offices. But all that's going up, and it's they're moving along with the masonry here in the next within the next week. I'd say they're going to start moving on the perimeter of all the other areas that the slabs have been poured, start laying all of that. And I guess that's it. That's it. I thought we had 18. We had 9. That is awesome. So everything's moving along. Does anybody have any questions?
Looks good.
We're on schedule for football.
We are on schedule for football here. No, actually, I did receive a call the other day. There may have been, I'm waiting on a call back. There may have been a little hiccup with the turf, but regardless, that's what I'm telling you. We're actually looking forward next week, and if it may get delayed a week or two, but it's still, everything's going to be here in time for football, so everything's looking very good for that.
Right.
So it's a good thing because you know you are in Rockcastle County.
I do know. I'm
You know,
Rockcastle
you know,
County, yes,
you
ma'am.
don't want to make enemies.
I listen, I know Daryl, y'all met Daryl. Daryl's been down here. I told Daryl from day one, let's give him a football field. We can teach the kids later. I'm joking. But no, we are on schedule for the football field. Everything's looking good.
Looks really nice.
Thank you very much. They're doing a fantastic job. I really cannot say enough about them, and they have surpassed Rising Suns guys pouring the concrete have surpassed a lot of my expectations with what they've been able to get done in the time frame that they've been able to get done since they've started pouring all the walls. I mean, that is a very time consuming process. They've got on a pretty regular basis, they've got 35 to 40 guys out there working, so they are doing a bang up job.
Thank you
All
for
right.
coming. everybody.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
You too.
Item 3B is our Gifted and Talented Program Update. Ms. Starla.
Thank you all for having me here. I'm always excited to talk about gifted and talented and what we've got going on. I have written it down so that I can try to keep it to a minimum because I will ramble for probably an hour if I haven't got it written down. So, So I'm excited to share with you guys some of the things that we did in the 2024-2025 school year. This is kind of my end of year program review, just to share some of the things that we were able to do last school year. And it's kind of broken into three parts: the administrative side of what I do, the services that I provide gifted and talented students, and then types of resources that I try to share with teachers. So,
Little girl.
if you can go to the next slide. All right, so there were three reports that I had to complete at the end of the year. The state assessed areas for school report card validation. That was just a report where I had to compare our local data to the state data and make sure that that matched. And if there were any discrepancies, then I needed to report that. And we were good on all areas of that. The next report I did was the validation of GT records. That was really just looking at making sure that we use the correct amount of pieces of evidence, the correct types of evidence, and that we were providing enough service options for students, and we were good on that. And the last report was the summit evaluation report, and that looks at making sure that we were spending gifted and talented funds correctly, that students were receiving services, that we were using Infinite Campus, different things like that, and we are good to go in all those areas. So if you go to the next slide. Because I did that report, I was able to get some pretty great data to share with you guys. We have currently 314 gifted and talented students in Rockcastle County, and those are individual students, so those students could have a variety of different areas they're identified in. So usually they're not just one area. Typically there's 1, 2, sometimes 6 or 7 areas. And then there are 106 primary talent pool students, and that's kindergarten through 3rd grade. So at the beginning of the school year, I'm required to test all Rockcastle County school students. And so last year we tested every single 3rd and 4th grader in Rockcastle County, which equaled to 181 4th graders and 237 3rd graders. And those students were given a universal screener to see what areas they might have potential in. And then we used a official formal testing tool that we recently purchased called Terra Nova, and that was for specific academic area, and then InView for general intelligence. I also use iReady data and KSA data for those types of things. I like to keep a watch list of students who don't quite make it, who don't have all the pieces of evidence they would need for formal identification. And then I keep an eye on them for the next year and see if I can test them again. And then if teachers also recommend someone who didn't qualify, then I'll also go back and test them again. So I try to keep an eye on not just 3rd and 4th grade, but 3rd and 4th grade is where we do the blanket screener. And then based on if someone scored distinguished on KSA in language arts, and they're in the 96th percentile on iReady, and they're not gifted and talented, then I'll go and test them, make sure that we are getting everyone and providing services to everyone who needs them. So there are 3 reports that I fill out every year on Infinite Campus for every single Rockcastle County gifted and talented student, and that is a gifted and talented service plan at the beginning of the year. So at the very beginning, I usually work on that until October between testing and lots of other things, but I usually try to have all of those finished around October, and that just talks about what kind of services that I provide gifted and talented kids in Rockcastle County. And then in December, I do a mid-year progress report, and I look at their grades, see how they're doing in the different areas. I talk to them when they visit me for gifted and talented to see what kind of enrichment opportunities they're participating in besides what they do with me. And then in the spring, I do an end of the year progress report. And if I have a student, there have been a few times where I've had a student whose grades aren't exactly where I think they should be, and so then I'll reach out to the teachers and see what's going on, and if it's something to do with assignments that they've not completed, then I'll reach out to the student and get them working on that kind of thing. So a great thing that happened last year was Mr. Cook invited me to fill a space at his area technology center. He went from two business tech teachers to one, and so that left a space there. And Mr. Bustle had given me a room at the high school, but this room was about twice as big as the one at the high school. And he offered 3D printers for us to use, virtual reality headsets. The room had computers, and so it's been a really great space. I've had access to all the CTE teachers at the vocational school, and I still have access to all the experts at the high school. And so that is a really excellent space for me to be in because I have access to lots and lots of experts. I told Mr. Coffee the other day when I met with him that I consider myself a jack of all trades but a master of none. And that's because I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I'm not really an expert on every area that a gifted and talented kid could be. And so having access to those teachers and those experts in different fields is great for our program. And they're eager to work with me and the students that I work with. Um, so because of that space and me being there and getting to know some of the teachers, Miss Jennifer Durham, who is the health science teacher, she invited me to bring some of my gifted and talented kids with her to the Hot Expo at Somerset Community College. And so I just sent out an email to all of my gifted and talented kids and was like, hey, if you're interested in the health science field, let me know. I've got an opportunity. And so I took several students to visit the Hot Expo, and there they got to learn about different fields in the healthcare and got to speak to lots of different colleges and learn about the programs that they had. And then we also toured Somerset Community College, which was really awesome. And then Miss Ashley Mullins, who is next door to me, she was taking students to tour KET. And so I did the same thing. Any students interested in business tech, let me know. I have an opportunity. And so we went with them to KET, and that was a great opportunity for those students. And then in high school, Mr. Whitaker invited us. We were doing a project, which I'll talk about in a minute, with a Kentucky Native Bird Conservation Project. And because we were there, Mr. Whitaker was like, let's spend some time in the greenhouse while you're here. And so we broke the kids up in groups. And him and his students, both the team of them, they provide a really excellent lesson to the kids on greenhouse and propagation, and each student was able to take home a succulent, and that was just a really great experience for them to see all the work that students do in the greenhouse. And really, my students going and being a part of those activities are great ways for them to promote their programs and be like, hey, these are some of the things that we do. You should come and join our classes. And so those collaborations are wonderful for my kids, and so I appreciate them for that. And so this is just me talking about some of those. And and then being there at the RATC, we have access to all the high school resources that they have to offer. The kids enjoy having lunch in the high school lunchroom, and they get to see lots of the high school kids. We've popped in on Miss Carrie's plays that she's done, so that was a great opportunity for them to be able to see a play at the high school. There's a wonderful yard in the back where we do environmental lessons, and Mr. Brenda's invited us a few times to see what his kids are doing with building canoes and lots of things. So it's just great for them to be exposed to that and see what's going on over at the high school. So here are some of the services that I provide gifted and talented kids in Rockcastle County. Project-based learning is the big one that we do during Gifted and Talented Days, and that usually has a lot to do with our Kentucky Heritage projects that go into our Kentucky Heritage Day event. And then we have environmental lessons, leadership, STEAM, enrichment excursions, academic competitions, and then our community engagement event. So when I very first started doing Gifted and Talented as the coordinator, I had several projects that we worked on. And so eventually we're going to have a rotation so that each grade does a different project. And so right now, fourth grade, every year we'll do the projects that we did the first year. And so that's the corn shuck dolls, landscape paintings, the Where I'm From poems, and crocheting. And then last year I added basket weaving, quilting, the photo gallery, and several conservation projects. And so when they go to fifth grade, that's some of the projects that they'll be part of. So basket weaving was one of the projects that we added last year, and that was funded by the Pritchard Committee. And Mr. Jesse Mahaffey, he worked with me on getting the funding for that. We were able to get a basket weaver from Nancy, Kentucky, who came out and talked to the kids about basket weaving, the history of it, how to make a basket, and she taught each one of them how to make a basket. And so those were on display at our Kentucky Heritage Day event. And we also had a demonstration where the kids, I had 2 students who did a demonstration on how to do a basket. And so that was a great project to add. Quilting project was one that we added for our 8th graders. And that was done with the collaboration of the Rockcastle Extension Office. And those ladies are just wonderful to work with. There were times where the students were ready to give up on quilting because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But they stuck with it, and when they finished it, there was a lot of pride. I had to hold on to them so that we could put them in the farmers market for Kentucky Heritage Day. And they're like, "Can we please take them? I promise I'll bring them back." And I was like, "No, we're gonna hold on to them because I'll never get them back." But it was something that they were really proud of at the end. We added 2 conservation projects this year to some of the stuff that we were doing with Kentucky Heritage, and one of them was the Kentucky Native Bird Nesting Box Conservation Project. And with the help of Mr. Mink and his ag construction students, we were able to build 115 nesting boxes, and those were designed specifically for the eastern bluebird, and those were designed to create safe spaces for them to raise their little baby birds. And then the monarch butterfly conservation project is another one that we added. The students made an information flyer about the importance of having the monarch butterfly in our population, and how they were currently listed on the endangered species. They made buttons that were themed Save the Monarch Butterfly. And then we made milkweed seed balm substrate balls that we passed out for them to hand out to people in the community, and they talked to them about putting them out, and because milkweed is the only plant that the monarch butterfly eats. Not the butterfly, but the caterpillar. Yeah. And then we worked with the Rockcastle Arts Association to participate in the Lantern Night Market Lantern Parade, and of course we made rocket themed lanterns for that. And then all of that culminated in our community engagement event that was our Kentucky Heritage Day. And so we had over 100 students there who presented what they had been doing this year. They showed off the work that they had done, and that event has become a kind of special part of Gifted and Talented, and the students really enjoy showing off the things that they've done. And a lot of people from the community come out and support them in that, and so I'm just really proud of that event. So another service that we provide is STEM related activities, and so we are currently building some of the things that we do with technology, and Gear Up was able to actually help out a lot with that. This year, when with the ending of their program, they had a little bit of money to spend, and so they helped out and bought us some Spiros. We added 3D pens. Mr. Cook gave us a 3D printer to use. We have Legos for building. The students in 7th grade, they built pulley-driven TC toy cars, and so they designed those, built those, and raced them, and that was a pretty cool activity for them to do. And then we do lots of brain games, and that's in between our project-based learning that we do. So this year was my first year sponsoring Y Club, and that wasn't something that I was planning on doing. But I had lots of kids stop me in the hallway and beg me, like, really bullied me into And so I was really glad that I decided to do this. It was hard to say no when they're so passionate about it. And so Dawson Nicely and I, we co-sponsor Y Club, and we went to the Kentucky Youth Assembly and the Kentucky United Nations. And those kids are just so super impressive, and it's one of my favorite things that I do. I told Miss Carrie this all the time. I never in a million years would have thought that I would enjoy working at the high school with high school kids, but they are some of my favorite. I just absolutely love and adore them, and I enjoy everything that I get to do with them. So it was a surprise. And then the year before last, the 2023-2024, I started doing Chick-fil-A Leader Academy. So we continued that this year. And that club focuses on leadership and community service. And actually, at our kickoff, Dr. Ballinger, she came and it was really great for our kids to hear her talk about servant leadership. And I think they appreciated having you there. So I planned three. I'm calling them enrichment excursions, but they're really field trips. But enrichment excursions sounds better. So we do environmental camp, environmental days at Maywood, and we were able to go to the Knoxville Zoo, and I'll talk a little bit about each of those. So environmental camp was at James Feltner 4-H camp, and it was for all fifth grade gifted and talented kids. And that was something that we did with the Rockcastle Extension Office, and the students did lots of environmental lessons while we were there. They did an owl pellet lesson, which at first none of the kids wanted to touch the owl pellet, but at the end it was kind of like a scavenger hunt, like they were really into it. We did a nighttime hike where we went and listened for owls. There was a Kentucky Native Mammals lesson, Kentucky Native Tree hike, pond study, and a leaf study. And then, of course, there were lots of team building games and a bonfire and s'mores. It was just a really great opportunity for fifth grade kids from across Rockcastle County to get together and to meet each other before going to the middle school. And so maybe if they get separated from all of their people, they'll have a familiar face that they met at 4-H camp, which is pretty exciting. And then I always try to include high school student leaders to go with me anytime I go on a field trip, because it's good for them to practice those leadership skills, and it's also a lot of help for me too. And so we always have awesome high school student leaders who help with lots of things like that. This is one of my favorite activities that I plan for gifted and talented, and it's because it's far-reaching. And that is Environmental Days at Maywood Nature Reserve, and I collaborate with Dr. Watson with the EKU's Division of Natural Areas. And so we hosted 6 days at Maywood, and we had lots of different lessons, but we were able to provide a leadership opportunity to 45 Rockcastle County High School students. So across the 6 days, I had a variety of different ones of them. And then 507 elementary school students visited Maywood and participated in those environmental conservation lessons. And so that was a huge number of kids that was able to get out and to explore Maywood and learn about environmental ed. And I'll talk to you about some of the lessons that we offered. One of them was creek critters, and that's where all the high school kids want to go because they get to play in the creek all day. But that really focuses on biodiversity and habitat and how animals utilize the water as a resource and how weather impacts it. That is one of the fan favorites of the kids. Insect inspection is a station where they learn about insects. What is an insect? What adaptations do they have? How do they use it? And then we really talk about respecting them and making sure that when you find one, you study it and then you put it back. And so, and how they're more afraid of us than we are of them, how we shouldn't scream or be afraid of them, that we are studying them. And so that's a great lesson. The Kentucky Native Tree Hike is a new one that we added because we had a couple groups that had 5 teachers, and so we didn't want to split up any of them, so we added a lesson. And they took a hike in the woods and looked at trees and identified them based on their leaves and the bark that's on them. The thicket game is one of my favorites, and that is about animal camouflage. And the students at first, it's kind of like hide and seek. So they go out in the woods and they play hide and seek in their regular clothes. And then they go back out and they play it with camouflage on. And so we talk about how it was harder for the predator to find the prey when they had on camouflage. And so that's a great activity. And then, oh dear, and quick frozen critters. This activity is about population and how overpopulation can impact the habitat and the resources in it. Knoxville Zoo was a field trip we were worried we may not be able to take because of weather. We had tornadoes and lots of things impacted our ability to go on that trip, and so we finally were able to get a date worked out with Mr. Ken and the Knoxville Zoo, and so we took the sixth grade, and it rained that day for like 20 minutes, but then it was fine the rest of the day. And then after visiting the zoo, we went to Cruz Pizza, which is a family-run farm, and they have pizza and creamery, and so that was just a great day for those sixth graders. And even though it was after school was already out, they still showed up and had a good time. So there's a few academic competitions that we host as in Gifted and Talented, and one is the spelling bee. The high schools get academic team students. They host the elementary academic team meets, and this year we had a banquet. And then, if you want to go on it, I talk a little bit about each of those. So the spelling bee has become a pretty important competition that the kids expect and look forward to each year. And so we have two different competitions, and those are usually at the high school, one for elementary, one for middle. We have high school students who help with that, and they serve as judges. We usually collaborate with Gear Up there. I'm going to really miss Gear Up. I'm really going to miss them because they are always willing to help me and work with me. It's great for community engagement because Mr. Brandon live streams it, and so they watch it in their classrooms, they watch it at home. We invite parents and families to come in, and I'm going to tell you a real quick story. I'm going off of the script, but one of the students who usually wins a spelling bee didn't win. And so his friends at school were like, I can't believe you didn't win the spelling bee. Our whole class was cheering for you. And I was really sad that he didn't win. But what made me so super happy is this student in particular may never have a crowd of people cheering for him because he played football or basketball or whatever. But in that moment, his entire class was cheering for him, which made me want to cry like a big baby because that's the whole reason for planning any of this is to celebrate those kids because they deserve to also be celebrated. And so thanks for live streaming it because it's a big deal. Oh, and then real quick before we go on to that one, the agriculture pathways and the engineering pathways always help make the spelling bee trophies, which are the honeybees, and those are a fan fave. The kids love them and they look awesome, and I appreciate them doing that. And then, I'm the academic team coach at the high school, and we host the elementary academic team meets. And I depend very much on the high school students. They help set up the rooms, they moderate, they buzzer operate, they serve as judges. I mean, they basically run the show, and if it weren't for them serving in that role, we wouldn't be able to host their meets. And so it's just wonderful to get those elementary kids, and it's also great practice for my kids because they get to see the other side of being an academic team. And then this year was our first year that we hosted a banquet, and that was designed to celebrate all the academic teams in Rockcastle County. And so we invited all the elementaries, we invited the middle school, and then our team was there, and then we had a video to show a highlight reel of their year and awards for their kids, and then cupcakes and refreshments at the end. And so that was a great night to highlight them. And to my knowledge, there's never been a banquet like that with all of the groups. And so the way I look at it is we've got to make it important, and if we don't make it important, then it doesn't seem as important. And so this was my way of trying to make academic team important for those kids and to highlight them and the work that they had done. And so some of the resources that I've been working on providing for the teachers and families in Rockcastle County is our website is one of them. And 2023-2024 was the first year that I put the website out, and since then I've been updating it and adding new information. Teachers and families can find out how gifted and talented students are identified, what piece of evidence they need. They can see my calendar and which kids I have on which days. There's resources for parents and staff. And then there's always, I like to put pictures of the enrichment services that we do, the spelling bee, academic team, all that stuff is right there on that website. Last year was my first year doing a newsletter, and I started out wanting to do like a monthly newsletter, and that was impossible once I started getting. So I started doing a quarterly newsletter. That was less ambitious, and so that newsletter just has information about like what is gifted and talented, definitions and lessons and articles and websites and lots of things like that that they can use and have access to. So for 2 years we've been working on Portrait of a Rocket, and I've worked with as part of the Superintendent's Advisory Council to get that going. And Portrait of a Rocket is very much gifted and talented. Like everything about Portrait of a Rocket is the enrichment opportunities that you would want to see in a gifted and talented program. And so last year I worked with Miss Susan Norton to go around to each of the schools and talk about what it is and what it will look like. And seeing them at the high school was awesome. Those kids are impressive, and it was wonderful to see it. It's going to be a great accountability model where students are in charge of their learning, which is important because if you're in charge of it, you have ownership, and so that's really exciting. Because of the work we did with Maywood and our collaboration with Dr. Watson, she wanted me to come with her to the Kentucky Association of Environmental Education conference at Moorhead. And we presented on the work that students did at Maywood and our model and how we ran it. And there was a lot of interest from other parks in our area who would like to have high school students come and utilize that park for the same purpose that we used it. This was one that we had kind of been working on, adding a flag, but at the end of this year when I was doing the end of year progress report, I went in and made sure that every single student in Rockcastle County who's gifted and talented had a flag, and when the teachers hover over that flag, it'll show what areas of gifted and talented they are. And that's going to be a great resource for them so that if they have a student who's gifted and talented, they can see what areas and have those expectations. Well, hey, you're gifted and talented in language arts, you should be able to do this, so that's just going to be a great resource for them so that they can have that information. And these are some of my goals for this coming 2025-2026 school year. I'd like to work with admin and principals on our policy for Kentucky House Bill 190, how that'll look, because we do need to put that into policy. I need to update our gifted and talented handbook. I'd like to digitize the universal screener, and of course there's lots of things up there that I'm not going to read them all off, but I need to get some new projects for next year. So
Sounds like you do need a few more things to say. Great job as always.
Thanks. And you guys, none of that I do, any of it, not a single bit of it could I do without your all support and without all the people here at this table, at these tables, and the principals and the teachers. I couldn't do any of it without all of you guys. So,
Ms. Starla, before you sit down, I want to say it just thrills me when I come to the high school and see you in that element because you are broadhead tiger through and through, elementary, third grade, and now you're at the high school and it's like you have found your niche, and those kids absolutely love you, and just to be in your classroom and to see them stick their head in there or run in and give you a hug, or they love having you.
Yes. I have a few that come and visit me at the end of every day, and when they don't, I'm like, where are they?
Well, and I think the using the older kids in all the projects to help the younger kids, that is really good, and that is the best development for those older kids you can possibly
Yeah.
have, so.
Miss Darla, I know that Europe has been very beneficial in helping you with a lot of like the spelling bee and different things. Do you have anybody else that assists you, or
No.
you're a one gal show, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am. But they have helped. They always help. I don't know what I'm gonna do this year, but it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. But there are always people who are willing to help me anytime I ask, and so I appreciate that so much. No one ever is like, I can't help you. They're always.
I noticed on your to-do list, you had fundraisers. Maybe we can
That-
talk
That's
again.
why I put it on there.
I know, we will talk again, yes.
Yeah. I want to. So my thing that I really love doing is taking kids places to see things. Not because I want them to leave Rockcastle County and never come back, but because I want them to see other places and how they can come back and make Rockcastle County better. And so I can't be like, hey, we're gonna pay for us to go, for everywhere I go. So I would love to do some fundraisers to pay for kids to go on field trips, especially kids who don't get to go on vacation in the summer and who don't go do and see the world. So
Well,
that's my
I know I always talk too much, but I serve on the state gifted and talented council, governor appointed council, and when I go to those meetings, it's made up of gifted and talented teachers from
Mhm.
across the state, and you're just outshining everybody. I mean, the work that you're doing is phenomenal, and I mean, it's clear to see how passionate you are about it, but they give updates about what they're doing in their district, and I just want to sit there and I'm like, I need Miss Starla here to teach them,
She needs to
everybody.
present
Yeah,
that.
you need to be
That state.
presenting that. You're
Yeah.
fantastic, and we're very, very blessed to have you.
Thank you. I love it. I really, really do love it. So thank you guys for letting me do it.
And I'm really glad that you spend the time to focus on Kentucky's heritage.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that is, if we do not teach our children, it gets forsaken so easy. And Carabella made me a basket,
Yeah.
and it catches all my keys every day. I'm thankful for that. But it's just you do a great job. You do.
Well, it's important to know your heritage and to know your Kentucky heritage, because if you go to Florida and they're like, someone's like, "Where are you from?" You say Kentucky, and they're like, "Kentucky." You can be like, "Hey, Kentucky's a pretty cool place," and then they can tell them all about Kentucky and why it's so impressive and important.
Well, and our kids are always so proud to present next door at the Heritage Days. I mean, and the families.
Yeah.
And the sheer number of families that show up on that day is really remarkable.
Well, the first year that we did Kentucky Heritage Day, I was like, what if we do all this work and nobody comes? That was not a problem. There was not a place to park in the parking lot.
And to know that it's in the evening, and
Yeah.
what a difficult time we have having people come back after school hours, and so that's really phenomenal and something to be very proud of.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Ms. Starling.
Item 4 is operations and actions. Do we have any questions for Dr. Ballinger?
I want to bring something up on operations and actions. Matt just brought it to my attention in the employee handbook for year 25-26. These are updated by KSBA, and something has slipped by us. They update them based on changing state law. And if you'll draw your attention to page 20, they have put on there the paid parental leave, maternity is slashed out at just parental leave. That when that law was passed, we have several years to implement that within the school district. We are not currently ready to implement this, so we need to table that. That slid past us, and we need to contact KSBA and have that pulled out and put in for next month. So
we want to approve everything else except for,
yes.
okay.
That would be
particular policy.
H. Yes, Matt, thank you for catching that, because we did not see that, and that I appreciate that.
I had a question about the speech language pathology contract with Brummels. Okay, is that always? It's always been.
Yes.
So the individuals that we have that work within our school system that are speech pathologists, they're employees of the schools, or
They're our employees. We have this contract. We placed this in place last year. We had a speech language pathologist that was going on maternity leave, and we had to contract with someone to service those students while she was gone because we don't have an abundance of speech language pathologists to do that. So that's why we contracted with them initially, but then we picked up, if you'll recall, we went back to servicing our CAP students, preschool students. So this lady helps us contract to service our CAP students as
Okay.
well.
But we currently have our own speech language.
Yes,
So this is just an
addition to-
addition. Okay.
Yes.
On the mileage reimbursement, this is just a question.
Mhm.
Do we just follow the state on that, or do we have to approve it yearly? How do we?
We approve it yearly and we adopt the first quarter.
Okay,
The state, as you are aware, they recommend quarterly and do updates quarterly. We do not update throughout the year. We adopt in July and apply that for the full fiscal year.
I move to approve operations and actions except for 4-H.
Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Item 5 is our discussion and action. 5A is review and approve the monthly financial reports.
It's been a busy year. It's been an exciting year in finance. I just always have to start this conversation with, it's a discussion about financial reports, but it's all more than numbers. And we've accomplished some great things with in Rockcastle County Schools this year, and it's about the resources and the staff and everyone that makes Rockcastle County Schools the great place to work that it is. And just kudos to the finance team. June and July are really tough months. Lots of work going on, ending a fiscal year, starting a new fiscal year. They are just each so very dedicated, and I cannot appreciate them anymore. So just they've had some busy weeks. This week especially, we've sent out just in the past 2 days. Accounts payable has processed 4 check runs, and so to make sure that everything is, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. It's been a busy time. Last month, June is always busy with 3 payrolls. So our payroll team just always go above and beyond. So I just want to start that out with the financial report. June is also a time that, as you can see, we're ending the fiscal year. These are some good numbers for us to look at on the monthly financial report. Our cash balance as of the end of June is $3,910,221.26 in general fund. It's a good test to look at the strength of our fiscal system. So pleased with our fiscal year end numbers as we're looking at them and preparing to go into our unaudited financial report. So currently running tests on our system, on our accounting system, to identify any concerns, any errors, that would be, reported in our audit. At this time, I'm very confident about the work that we will present to our auditors. We'll be scheduling that date and sharing that date with you soon. And looking on down to the other funds, you'll see that there's a negative on our grants. That's very common. We do some projections, and any grant that we can process reimbursements for, most of those that are not currently reimbursed will be reimbursed in July, because they are on a reimbursement basis. Many of them are on quarterly reimbursements. So we do have some funds outstanding that we will be receiving payment for. Our building fund, you'll see a healthy balance there, and part of that, to support upcoming projects that the district and the board may identify. Our construction balance at $1,619,314. Not enough to build a school, but you'll see on down in plus construction investments. Our funds are invested in with
our bank and continue to draw interest monthly. So we're putting that back into the construction fund for the middle school, continuing to earn there, and that is part, all of those interest earnings are part of the $38,905,451 reported there. Our food service program, we have an outstanding food service program, and we talk about that program often because it's something that we're also very proud of. They have been working tirelessly this summer to provide meals to students. They had a great year, great program, quality service to our students. Do you have any specific questions about the monthly financial report?
Ms. Jenny, I looked and couldn't find this. How does that, cash balance for July 1 compare to last year, July 1?
It's strong. Will be my projection is, the numbers that I've ran is will be just very slightly above ending balance from last year.
Okay. It's a good place to be.
It is, and we've addressed many needs in our school district this year, and everyone, all the directors, all the principals, Dr. Ballinger leading us. We keep a close eye on what we have to work with, but it's really important that this year funding serving this year's students.
Yes.
And we keep that at the forefront to address student needs.
Thank you, Ms. Jenny. Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Jenny? Not, I need a motion to approve our monthly financial report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Item 5B, review and approve the KSBA policy and procedures update policy 09.2241.
And go ahead.
If
It's
you all,
second reading.
yeah, exactly, second reading. If you all will remember, when we had our special call board meeting last month, we approved the entire packet, but we pulled this policy out and had first reading of this one. We had asked KSBA to make some modifications for us, and they did so. So this is now the second reading of that medication policy.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Item 5C, review and approve the amended district facility plan.
Turn that over to Mr. Trent.
So, my computer's on the fritz, so I'll have to wing it here a little bit, but Ken's got it here. So the amended plan that you've got in your board packet is the plan that the LPC came up with to do the renovations to the Rock building. That's really the only changes to it from what we did in 2013.
I'll point out that we added, if you'll notice if you have it pulled up on your computer, if under 2B, it says Early Childhood Center. We've had discussions about our pie in the sky dreams of having an early childhood center and serving our preschool students. We went ahead and put this on here. If you remember, a district facility plan has to be every single thing that you could possibly dream of having in your district. So you put it all on here. So that is on there as far as being part of the new Rock building, if we decided to go that direction.
Motion made and approved.
Second.
All in favor? Item 5D, review and approve a request for hearing packet of information from the Kentucky Department of Education.
That's part of the district facilities plan process. We just have to have a board vote before Trent and I can request the hearing packet.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Item 5E, review and approve appointment of a hearing officer for the upcoming public hearing to review the new district facility plan.
It's typically the superintendent.
We need to allow that to continue to be the superintendent.
I move to appoint Dr. Ballinger as the hearing officer.
All in favor? So next, we have to recess to our district financial corporation meeting, okay?
Move to recess.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor? Yep. Now I would like to call to order
this special called board meeting for the Rockcastle County School District Finance Corporation. Item 2 is to confirm the corporation officers and members. You have officers, Angela Mink, President, Carrie Ballinger, Secretary, Jenny Sweet, Treasurer. Members, Anna Stevens Goff, Angela Parsons Woods, Lisa Cornett, Matt Coliff. Item 3 is approve the minutes of the prior meeting. You should have those.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Item 4, review and approve the survey by professional land surveyor indicating the easement boundaries, size, and its relationship to the larger property.
Have that, survey in your packet, and again, that is for our easement for the Delta Gas to go to the middle school.
Trent, that easement is going on the upper side of the
Be the backside of the property and the upper side of the
upper
property.
side.
That's what's going on right now, right?
No, they're actually not there yet,
But
Uh, but it's coming.
it's crossing the highway now, or starting to, right?
It's pretty much behind Quick Care, I think, right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And this will have no,
Sorry.
So
This is Taylor Clark. He's with Access Land Services. He also works with Delta. He could probably
If you have any
shed
questions,
some
I'm
light
happy
on
to
any
answer 'em.
questions that you
I
have.
also have copies of the exhibit if anybody needs to see that.
They're-
They have it,
Okay.
that we've uploaded it for them.
So it's going on right through here, correct? Okay.
basically just on the property
So-
line on the upper side of that.
around the back and then on the top, yeah. Get out to Main Street.
I move to approve.
I second.
All in favor? Item 5, review and approve the restricted appraisal report, land and improvements for Rockcastle County and Middle School facility.
That's pretty much just a standard appraisal that we had done to, determine the value. That's a statute, that's set forth in statute. That's what you have to do to be legal, and that's what we did. So,
Is your motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? That has to be done by whom? Who requires that?
The
The
li-
state?
the state does, yep,
Okay.
sure do.
Item 6, review and approve the easement and right-of-way agreement between Rockcastle County School District Finance Corporation and Delta Natural Gas Company. Does anyone have any questions?
Do you have copies of that?
Yes, it's up on you. Yes.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
What's the process? Would you be something we would pick up later on as far as signing it and all that?
After Miss Angie signs it, then we will email it back to you all and you'll sign it and scan it back to us.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm happy to answer anything you have.
What's your timeline?
To get to the school, they think they'll be there by sometime in the fall, and then they're gonna stop, construction until 26, once they get there. So they're trying to get up to Main Street, and they're actually, they need me to finish up one more easement for them, but if I get that done, then we'll get to Main Street, and then that'll be the end of construction for this year.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you all for helping out. Have a good one.
Little West Main.
All right, need a motion to adjourn from the, all right.
Second.
All in favor? Now need a motion to come back into order for our regular board.
So
meeting.
moved.
Second.
Get all that, Jenny?
Got
All right, then. As long as you
Your
got
hand
it,
up.
okay? If not, guess at it. We'll never know the difference.
All in favor?
Here we go.
All right. We got all of that done.
Again.
Now we gotta do it now again. Item F, review and approve the survey by a professional land surveyor indicating the easement boundaries, size, and its relationship to the larger property.
I move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Yep.
All right. Item G, review and approve the restricted appraisal report, land and improvements for Rockcastle County Middle School facility.
I move to approve.
Got a first and second, all in favor? Item H, review and approve the easement and right-of-way agreement between Rockcastle County School District Finance Corporation and Delta Natural Gas Company.
Move to approve.
Yep, second.
All right, you all are just all happy tonight.
Anticipate.
All in favor? Item I, review and approve the BG1 project application form for Delta Gas easement at Rockcastle County Middle School.
That BG one's just another thing that's set out in statute. That's the first thing you have to do to
Yeah.
do an easement, so.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Review and approve a declaration that the disposal of the property described in the easement does not affect the integrity or usefulness of property that is crucial to the educational needs of the district.
That's different.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing there's 5 things in the statute and we've done them all 5 now. That'll be the last
That's number
one.
5.
That's just to protect the school system as far as you wouldn't want to give an easement where you're gonna build something. This is not where we're gonna build something. It's behind the football field and around the outside and it's not gonna impede us from doing any kind of construction or anything in the future. If we needed to build a road over top of it, we could.
Move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Mhm.
I just want to ask them again why they're
Yeah.
quitting construction in October. Yeah, Trent, would you mind to ask that when you
What's that?
talk to them again? Ask them why are they quitting construction of that project in October?
Okay, I will ask.
I mean, they're in such a hurry for us to come and vote for them to get it going, but they're gonna quit in October. Why are we in such a big hurry ourselves?
What he mentioned earlier, was that they were gonna get to Main Street and then the next phase is to get to Renfro. And I don't know if that has to coincide with maybe the road. You know, there's gonna be a lot of road work down that way, so that may be a factor. I would figure that's probably what it is, just guessing off the top of my
Well,
head.
there,
There's more
Monday.
easements they need to get before that.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't have the route yet either, so.
Thank you, Trent.
But we need the route. We have to have the route, cause we're gonna have to have gas.
So we got the gas in the can crystal week.
Delta, I'll say this about Delta. They've been a really good partner. They're gonna sponsor our scoreboard. They've, been great to work with. Dr. Ballinger and I met with them several times and they're gonna be a asset to the community and
Where,
to Rockcastle County Schools.
will the gas come from that main line into the middle school, or will it have to snake around? Do you know?
It'll come you know how the, power line comes from up above the bus garage from that back street?
Yeah.
Pretty much straight in. All the utilities will come straight in that path. Same path, right through the rock.
Okay.
Can we get a vocational program for a rock quarry? I'm pretty sure we got a good spot.
If
So up on the back
Kenny
side
needs
of
to
the
buy
bus
us a
garage.
rock crusher, and we'll make our own gravel.
Yeah.
The back, okay. So it's, because it's coming around. I'm trying to think of her sure. I seen her name on that. Okay.
The gifted and talented.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Trent. I'd still like for you to ask him though.
Okay.
I'm just curious. Because, you know, there'd been such an urgent need to get this project going, you know.
Yeah.
And they sent him here tonight. I'd just like to know. Curiosity. Item 6A, review superintendent's personnel action report. Dr. Ballinger?
You have that in front of you if you have any questions. I would like to welcome several new faces tonight. As part of our personnel action, we got Mr. Bussell here for his first board meeting, and we're happy to have him in his new role. And I'm excited about the work he's going to do with instruction with middle school and high school, and happy to get started working with him. And of course, we have Miss Kayla here tonight as our new director of special ed, and this is Miss Kayla, what, 3rd day in, Miss Kayla? So I asked her this afternoon, you're like, are you okay? You're not gonna run away or run away from us yet, are you? So she's been great already. And then we have Miss Savannah joining us tonight in her new role with HR, and happy to have her. We've definitely kept her busy this summer. Excited for everything that she's gonna do to assist us. And as I introduced earlier, we have Mr. Tom Greer here with us, our new assistant principal at the high school, and want to welcome him to the district and welcome everybody to their new roles.
I'll ask Angie's question. What openings do we have?
Well, I'm going to knock on wood twice in about 2 minutes, but as of right now, certified positions, we just have a science position at RCMS that was vacated by Ms. Brooke Bishop's assistant principal job, and we have a math position at RCMS that is from Jake Woodall and has taken a job at the academy working with the My Rock Online program. So we've got 2 certified vacancies, and then we have the assistant special ed director assistant job. Then we're going to be interviewing for that tomorrow, Miss Kayla, Miss Jenny, and I. And then we have some coaching, instructional assistants, bus drivers, though, but those are the only certified positions. Yeah, it's really good place to be in at this point in the summer. Any other questions?
Department reports. Any of you fine folks want to share? Come on. Speak now, forever hold your peace. I appreciate all of you, everything you do.
I'll say one thing. My newsletter says that we were funded for 2 E-rate projects, and I did it like 3 days ago, but this morning we were funded for our 3rd. So that's another $50,000. So lots of fun things, completely new network, and some funding to go with it. So it's
I just wanted to, I know all of you work very, very hard in the area that you are in, but I just wanted to say kudos to Mr. Bishop with this summer. You know, it speaks volumes to my heart for the individuals that have been out there helping with that. And I've had many families that have expressed they're very happy. It's been very helpful to them. And I just also wanted to add, if you have any families out there that's not able to pick up their food and you know that they're in need, if you would like to reach out to me, I don't care a bit to try to deliver, because I really want to make sure all of our kids are getting some food. So.
I will, and I appreciate all of the volunteer help that we had from our sports programs, gifted and talented. You know, she's gone already, but she brought a bunch of kids up 2 weeks ago, and just, you know, people are just they're figuring out like we can use all the help, and they come up at 2:30 and start pitching in, and of course we've worked on it on Monday and all day on Tuesday, but that last 3 or 4 hours is really big, and the kids get to go out and give the milk and the groceries out to the cars. So it's really a good program.
Yeah, it's very helpful to families.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with a very vulnerable population most of the time, and these families are very, very appreciative, and that's the reason I asked if you know of any families that are not able to get up there to pick up. I wouldn't care at all to try to get them
Our
delivered
youth
out.
service programs in all the schools, they you know, the names that we have, we've given them to those individuals according to what school those kids go to, and they come and bag them up, and they'll take them to them. So it's been a blessing.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Anyone have anything? Next, we have superintendent communication.
I had on my notes to talk a little bit about our food service program too. So we're thinking of lights tonight. But I do want to comment that it has really just been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that Mr. Bishop and Miss Tabitha, I don't want to leave Miss Tabitha out, because she has worked so hard on this in organizing, and thank all of our volunteers for coming to help. And it's been really remarkable, and I appreciate everybody's help in getting that out. And we're feeding, what was remember our number last?
I think we were 578 or 579 and 615 or something the week before. So we're right around 600 every week.
That's a lot of people that we know that are getting, 5 days worth of breakfast and lunch and milk.
Yeah, so I mean, it's 6,000 meals.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that's a lot of work well, you've been there. It's a lot of work to bag up all of that and get that ready to go out the door. And they've got a great system, and I just kudos to you all for the work you've done this summer. And
And it's not been cool, has it?
No. Not cool at all.
Yeah, it's been very hot. Yeah.
Pick up a half a gallon of milk, and you're like, oh, it feels good.
Yeah, I also wanted to had 2 other things I wanted to comment on. As you all know, and I know you've been reading in the news and reading on social media about Senate Bill 181, lot of discussion surrounding that bill. I did have a discussion earlier in the week with Representative Josh Bray. He does not feel like that the legislature will be going back into session. There was some talk that perhaps there would be a short session to go in and do some tornado relief. He wasn't 100% sure one way or the other, but had no indication that was going to happen immediately. So wanted to let me know that it looks like that it will be January probably till the legislature goes back in session that it can readdress this bill. I understand the bill, the gist of the bill, I think it's a good idea, just some parameters definitely need to be tweaked, but we do have everything in place here locally that we need to have in place before school starts. There's a coaches meeting on Monday. Miss Savannah and I will be there to talk to them. We've already met with coaches once. We're going to talk with them again, and Miss Savannah will be training all coaches on the Rooms app. At that coaches meeting, some of our coaches have already been trained. We've been holding trainings. Miss Savannah has had multiple trainings over the summer, so people could come in over the summer and get trained. But we'll roll that out to all educators before school starts, so everyone will know exactly how to operate within that app. And then we also have the parent waivers available. We have those available at central office right now since it's summer and schools are hit and miss on who's there and what time. So we have those, and we have had several parents come by and fill some of those waivers out. So we're keeping track of those now for the summer at central office, but we'll turn that over to the schools, individual schools, when we get back into session. But just wanted to reiterate, if anybody has any questions about it or concerns, I had gotten an email just shortly before we walked in about it from a teacher who had some concerns. So we'll help you work through whatever that is. If just reach out to me or Miss Savannah, and we'll work through that.
So this pertains to volunteers also?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody that is a volunteer, if you're a volunteer, then you would have a higher letter that would say, thank you for volunteering with Rockcastle County Schools, so you would be considered applicable. It does not apply to board members. However, you would probably be wise to follow that. I mean, Miss Angie and I had a conversation about that earlier today, just until everything is kind of lined out.
We're just gonna get a stack like that of consent, and we're gonna start filling them out. That's my plan.
But we're working on a tracking system of how to keep track of those waivers at the school level and what that's going to look like. So we're making certain that we've got that good system in place.
I think that it's actually very, very needed. I mean, throughout the state. Now, maybe it needs to be tweaked.
Some tweaks.
There needs to be tweaks,
A
but
lot
I
of
mean, you see on the news every day evidence of why it's needed. So, number one concern that we should all have is the safety and the well-being of our students. And even though everyone in this room has very good intentions, we don't have that with everybody. So I think our kids are first. So.
Last thing I wanted to comment on, and you have approved earlier tonight the MOU with Partners for Rural Impact for our new community school positions. So that will be very similar to what Mr. Jesse is doing in serving the middle school and high school, except we will have 3 Mr. Jessies, and they will each serve our elementary schools. So really excited about that. That is a 2.5-year grant through Partners for Rural Impact. Those jobs are not hired by Rockcastle County Schools. They're hired by PRI. They are posted right now. So if you know of anyone that would be interested in doing community work, send them that way. But really excited about what that's going to look like at our elementary school levels. That's all I have, unless anyone have questions for me.
Matt, got anything?
Well, as crazy as Senate Bill 181 is, I want to compliment Dr. Ballinger and Brandon and our staff. Dealing with folks all across the state, Rockcastle is ahead of most, and maybe in front, but definitely ahead of a lot of districts on our response to that and having something ready to hit the ground. So thank you all for being proactive as always. And Brandon's pointing at
Savannah.
Okay, Savannah, thank you.
It's definitely been a transition period, but a lot of our staff that we've trained, that we surveyed staff at the end of the year, figuring out who needed to contact students. Like we had kids going to FFA camp. Miss Campbell just took a bunch of kids to Orlando. So we've done some sessions based on those. And Miss Carey said it best, we weren't necessarily ready to roll this out to our staff. We would have liked to us be the guinea pigs. But all of our staff has been beyond understanding that it's a learning curve for everybody. One of our coaches has talked to me off and on quite a bit and shared a lot of really good feedback. And we're getting more good feedback, which right now we're just going through, we were not fully launched since it's not quite time to go back to school.
But I think once we're fully implemented, not just for communication, but what it will give teachers as a way to communicate with families just on what's happening in their classroom alone will be a really huge benefit. But it's all going over really well so far.
Miss Angie?
I don't have anything, I do have a question. So some of those, like the rooms app, can kids communicate directly at all?
Kids cannot talk to kids. but
Even though it's monitored, teacher to kid can still not
Yes.
be direct contact through those
Teacher
apps.
to kid
Can, that's what I meant.
but
Yes.
not kid to kid.
No, right, teacher to kid though is, cause it's monitored.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different
Okay.
ways. And I don't want to, I know y'all probably don't want the
There's
whole
just a lot of
rabbit.
hesitation from families right now, and I know we know that. So I think the more information and
Yes,
transparent that we are about it.
and we are slowly going to start marketing it more to families. We have that ready, but we did not want to alarm parents since it's still summertime. We didn't want to think things were kind of going crazy. But once they get in, there will be a way. So you'll be able to log in, see both of your kids, and then you'll automatically see all of their classes. And you'll be able to go to each kid's classes, automatically see the feed of what the teacher has been sharing, if they post reminders about tests or upcoming field trips. But it also has a messaging side. So there can be one-on-one communication from a teacher to a student. Our district mental health coordinator, she has to be able to talk to them kids. They have to be able to reach out to her. So a student can initiate that conversation if they need to reach out. But then they also can loop in the parent and have a conversation of a parent, the student, and the teacher, and all mix of that. And then sports teams, they're mainly using messaging right now. They can create group messages that just the coach can send out something. Kids can just see it. And it allows us to track and know what's being seen, what parents see things, what students see things. So it gives us a little bit of reassurance of this is being seen and we're reaching all families we need to reach.
So it's just a new app to text. It's just a tracking system.
And it's very simple.
Yes, and it
very
lives
simple.
within our Rockcastle County Schools app.
And it's free.
Yes, it's free. So now, and you all can look at it depending if you have a child that's in the communication pool right now, because we're just turning on accounts that are needed right now. You'll see when you log into the district app and open it, it's got a toggle now at the bottom that's rooms. So it's the same app. Families can toggle from looking at what's happening to the district to what's happening in their students' classes. So it all lives right there together. And once we do our full push to turn on parents, it will be very simple for them to get logged in.
And we'll be providing some training at back to school nights as well.
Yes, we'll have a lot of marketing material that we'll share both on social media, the website, and through our school back to school nights and teachers that will make it super easy for parents to get in and get rolling with it.
And it's able to, to support like FCCLA, FFA. Everybody can have their own little area.
Yes,
to talk, the
yeah.
rooms. Okay.
Email still works, and I mean, all the Google Classroom still works, all of those still work.
Yeah.
So,
Those are just kind of sometimes more cumbersome
Sure.
than getting a little fling.
That's why the app's good, because it's
Yes.
in the RCS app. You just hit the button and it's
Mhm.
it's on there.
Yes.
And they can use the website too if they need.
Whoever thought email would be cumbersome?
It is.
And a
I
big
said
thing
that,
is
but-
our students will be able to log into rooms from like their Chromebooks. So, thinking about like our district mental health staff, if they're needing to reach out to somebody possibly during the day, they will still have that possibility to reach out without obviously having to be on their phones. They will be able to log in from a desktop platform.
So what percentage of our parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles that are raising children do not already utilize what we've had before?
The app,
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
The
I'm
problem
just
The
wondering.
problem with some of those other apps is you can't track them.
Okay.
That's the problem. They can communicate and that works, except we don't always know what they say. That's what Rooms does. It provides that it's the traceable communication.
well, and
That's why we're all under one umbrella, rather than, we had Remind, we had Class Dojo, there's 15 Band Lab, there's 15 different ones. This way, everybody's using the same one. It's all traceable and everything's good.
And Rooms allows us to stay within one app. If we would have looking at some of the other options, they did not have as much to offer, but it also would have been yet another app we would have to ask families to have and keep up with. So it's really nice that you can stay connected with Rockcastle County Schools all in one spot. And once it's rolling, like parents will get a notification, like if you got a text message, but it will just be a notification from the Rockcastle County Schools app.
I would recommend, which I know we probably may not have enough staff, but whenever we have open house, maybe having someone set aside at each school for anybody that may have questions.
Most definitely.
I think that would be very, it would help parents, pull you aside, say, hey, help me,
Yeah, most definitely.
Some may need just help downloading.
Yes.
And step-by-step process, so we'll definitely provide that service.
Yes, a help desk.
Yeah, we'll use the help desk.
I think that would be helpful. And one thing I noticed, the other day, I got the pleasure of volunteering up there with you, Chris, a lot of grandparents. A lot of grandparents were the ones coming through there. Now, whether or not they're raising those children, I'm not for sure, but, grandparents have a little bit more of a tendency to let things like that, just stress them out.
Oh, most definitely. And I think once we start sharing it and people start using it and parents can talk to parents, I think it will bring a lot of relief because it is such a user-friendly tool. I really think it will go over really well. I don't foresee us having people having a lot of issues once they get in, but I think definitely providing some extra support for those grandparents for sure would help a lot.
Right now, I think it's the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
And what is this gonna look like? How hard is this gonna be to maneuver through?
I'm just dreading having more stuff to read. I mean, really. I mean, I'm not going to get alerted with everything, right?
Oh, no,
No.
this is just for tracking, so you cannot impact any kids.
No, I know that.
That's
with
what I think
children,
this
but you
app
said
is for.
parents can contact parents.
No, parents cannot contact parents.
Okay. I started saying, I mean, I'm not
No.
trying to be rude, but I mean,
She
I
just
don't
means-
want to hear it.
She just means word of mouth, parents will help parents.
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you would only receive alerts if Carabella's teacher sent you a message, or maybe
Okay.
depending on how you have your settings set up, if they posted a reminder in. So each class will be able to have a feed that almost looks like if you're scrolling through Facebook, but it's just going to be stuff the teacher is posting. So they'll really get to, have a little hub for their class and essentially. So you would maybe only get notifications when you get a message from maybe your teacher or something from the class feed.
There's not a complain to board members button.
Thank you.
That's what they get our
that's what I
email
was
for.
scared
That's in version 2.0.
Yeah, that segues me to this question. This is a statement. I hope that this doesn't become a tattletale situation. That's a big fear, I think, among this bill, and it worries me, and I hope we have something in place to vet everything. I don't know.
I think it would control, I think it protects our staff
Oh, yeah.
more than, and I think it will control a lot of that, what you're saying. I mean, kids will be more leery about what they say, and even adults, I guess. But also, like if you're in a room with the FCCLA or whatever, no parent can reply to that comment that like if a baseball team has something out there, you can't make every comment. I mean, they can't reply, so there's just one way to communicate. It's just basically to get out information. I think it's great.
So we need to sell this as people are going to mail us group text.
Yeah.
I think it'll control a lot of what we had to deal with at the high school on a daily basis about what she said, he said, that. I mean, it'll
See,
be.
you got out before it got easier.
I don't know.
If you all have any other questions, or if you all ever want a little glimpse into the software, stop by and I'm more than happy to give you some little insight, show you all around, let you see what it looks like from our teacher's standpoint. Anything, I'm always happy to share that.
I'm sure I'll be over there the day after school begins.
There will be a lot of
Help.
There'll be a lot of-
Thank you, Savannah. Miss Lisa, you got anything?
I'm good.
Angie, did you have anything?
No, oh, no, that's it.
We appreciate all of you for coming out tonight. Thank you for always doing such a great job. You're always quiet, but you do such a great job. Welcome the new faces, and we're glad to have a new Rocket in the room. We will make sure we give him plenty of shirts, toboggans, everything Rocket, okay? With that, I need a motion for us to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?